This video is about domain and range. The goal of this video is to identify the domain and range of a function. So let's look at a problem. Matthew and his friends are ordering pizza. The pizza costs $8 each. Matthew reminds his friends that they also need to tip the delivery driver, and they decide $5 would be a nice tip. Fill in the table and write a function rule to represent this situation. So on my table, I'm going to order first one pizza. So I have to pay $8 for one pizza, plus I'm paying $5 for a tip. So I'm going to multiply first. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 5 gets me a cost of $13. Next, if I order 2 pizzas, I have 8 times 2 pizzas, plus a $5 tip. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 5 gets me 21. If I order 5 pizzas, 8 times 5 plus a $5 tip, 8 times 5 is 40, plus 5 is $45. So if I order n number of pizzas, n can be any number, I'm going to multiply my number of pizzas times $8 plus a $5 tip. So my cost would be 8n plus 5. This last row with the n can help me write my function rule. So in this case, I would say that my cost, C, is equal to $8 times the number of pizzas plus a $5 tip. So remember that C is our cost and N is our number of pizza. So for this situation, our two variables are cost and number of pizzas. In this situation then, we would say that the cost of Matthew's pizza order depends on the number of pizzas ordered. So we can look at our domain and range of this situation. Our domain is the set of numbers that you would put into a function. These numbers are what we're going to plug in for our independent variable, which remember is our x. Okay, so another word for this is our x, or our input. So let's figure out the domain of this function. All we need to do is determine what numbers make sense for the expression. So what's the smallest number that makes sense? Well, if I'm going to order pizza, I'm not going to call someone and order 0 pizzas. So the smallest number of pizzas that I would call to order would be 1 pizza. The next number of ordering pizzas would be 2 pizzas. What's the highest number? I could pick any number of pizzas. I could have 100, I could have 1,000, I could order 1,000,000. So we're just going to say n. So we write our domain with a squiggly bracket, our smallest number, our next number, dots to represent all the numbers in between, and then n to represent our largest number. Range is the set of numbers that come out of a function. Okay, these are the numbers that we get for the y, or they are our dependent variable. Another word for range is our output. So thinking about this, what's the smallest number we get out? Well, if we're ordering pizzas, we said 1 pizza, the smallest cost was $13, which we got from our table right here. This was the smallest number. If I look at 2 pizzas was $21. That's the cost of the next smallest, would be 21. So what's the highest number? We can order n number of pizzas, so we know that it's $8 per pizza plus a $5 tip, and we could put in any number for n. So we would write this again with hard brackets, 13, my next number 21, dots in between, and then 8n plus 5 to represent all numbers no matter how many pizza I order. So let's look at another example. Let's look at our table. So in our table here, we have a table that looks at the number of toppings and the cost of pizza. So remember that number of toppings is going to be our x, which is our independent variable. Our cost of pizza is our y, which is our dependent variable. So when I'm looking at domain looks at my x. So if I want to write a domain for my table, I would look at what's my first smallest number, 0. What number would come next? 1 topping. And I put dots for all my other toppings. And the largest number of toppings I would get is x. If I look at my cost of toppings, in my range, my pizza for my cheapest pizza would be $7.50 if I get no toppings. So our no topping pizza would be $7.50. That's my smallest output. The next one, I add 75 cents for my topping. I get 8.25 dots to represent all my other numbers, and I'm going to write my function rule for my last number. So my function rule will be 0.75x plus $7.50.